Just kind of welcoming everybody in again, taking a look at Bitcoin. We're just kind of going over the things that we've been going over the last few weeks anyhow. So overall, right, range low, range high. We've got our point of control right here, our massive, our volume target, so to speak. We've got a major 2-year key level within this range as well, among other things, right? So, and then just kind of going over that last, just the journey so far over the last few weeks is what we came down here to this 33K level. And once again, at the time, these were our doomsday levels. The reason they're called doomsday levels is because if these two point of controls and naked point of controls didn't hold, we were heading back down to here. This is a pretty big macro golden pocket all the way back from the March 2020 crash. So that's a big area of interest. If we get down to that level, obviously that's a big if. But as we start losing levels, we have to start, kind of reconsidering that a little bit. But yeah, for here, we were looking to regain these levels to the upside, 39K. We did so, ran into the range high, came back down. We were looking to retest this box basically. And what we did here, we had that CME futures gap from last week that ended up getting filled, right? And that was an idea that that I brought up multiple times, was that if we do come down and refill that CME futures gap, I can imagine that most people would think and assume that's the bottom. People probably load up or whatever the case may be. Maybe if they sold out somewhere and miraculously, wanted to get back in or, start taking longs, whatever the case may be, that CME futures gap, we sat there for a hot minute in this realm. And then we were looking to go lower, basically, just to kind of, rattle everybody up. And not even just because of the, psychological level behind it, but just also we had some major key levels below us besides just the CME futures gap, right? So the CME futures gap really doesn't hold too much weight compared to some of these others here. So right below that, and I bring that up because, like I said, if I kick this on, where you see that WP CME gap, that was the level we were talking about 40,500 or something. Below that right here was our 2-year key level. So this was definitely a bigger area of interest right here as we came back and back tested that. We did lose that. And then now we're looking at this golden pocket of this entire move here back from the 33,000 all the way up to the 45K. We're holding that at the moment. One of the biggest things that we really want to see to start moving back to the upside here is regaining this monthly open. You do not want to really be living below this monthly open, especially after you've overtaken it so high and came back now below it. So that's basically our mission number one is regain and be living above this 38,200. That's very simple, easy area to kind of keep your eyes on. Now to the downside, what do we have to kind of consider still? If we lose this golden pocket right here, we got the range low coming in at 36,006, 36,700, however you have it here. Now this is something we want to really see held as well, because now we're talking about losing this low over here. And all in all, this entire idea here, and this was our, this is our, not last, support, I guess, but this is something that as far as building up this current uptrend, we could come all the way down to this range low and still be putting in a higher low, right? And then essentially you'd still be putting in an uptrend here. We got a low, we got a higher low. Even if we came down to this range low, we'd be putting in a higher low. And then you could still, kind of look towards an uptrend here. Granted, you'd have to come all the way back up and take out this high, so it'd be a little journey ahead of us. But we start taking out this low, right? Start closing below this $36,000 level. And then you're most likely going to come back down and revisit this low. At this point, you're probably going to take out that WNPOC that we talked about from before. And then, like I said, the doomsday levels come back to be, a big reality, big possibility, right? So that only really happens, though, once again, if you lose that range low. So we were about $1,000 difference right here. Could very well come down. Like I said, the natural progression here is you re-enter a range or you enter a range, which we did basically right here, right? Enter the range, boom, we're holding the lows, we run it up. You get to that point of control. It's basically your first target. Get to your range high. Right, you either break this or you get rejected. You get rejected at the range high, you're back to the point of control. You lose that, you're back to the range low, and that's kind of how you oscillate through these ranges. So you get down to this range low, everybody's going to get really, really bearish if they're not already. It's always when you come down to the major supports when everybody starts kind of losing it. So just something to be aware of. You can come down to this range low and hold it, put in that higher low, and essentially, away we could go here. Obviously, we'd have a lot of, overhead in front of us, a lot more than we would have had when we were back here at 45K. But that's the journey in motion at the time. All right, so talking on the doomsday level again, because once again, we're pretty much back to, we are exactly back to where we were at the beginning of the month now, on the 4th, before we got this, nice little impulse here to the upside. Okay, where are we at here? Yeah, so we lose that, go to the range low, whatever. Doomsday is what I was going to bring up. So I bring these up, and not even to look at the 29, 30K stuff, right? It's just these two right here, though, are big ones, right? So don't look at this one at the moment. We'll look there, when we have to. But the fact is, in my opinion, right, and that's kind of how we'll pull this off here. Range low to me is a really big area of interest. I want to see that held, regain this monthly open. We start looking back to the upside. We could just literally turn around right here at the golden pocket as well. Something to be paying attention for. As many of you know, we started looking into order flow and open interest in our trading group in Discord. We're going to be introducing that to everybody in a couple of days. But we are paying a lot of attention to that, and it's a really big, useful resource to kind of indicate what the market's going to do here. So far, we haven't seen anything indicative of a move to the upside, though, so for anybody that's wondering. So, you got your golden pocket here. You lose that. Previously, right, we came down to this. This is now not an NPOC because it has been tapped, but I just leave it here because this is the one that we were looking at basically from Christmas Eve, right, from the $52,000 swing failure pattern all the way up at the top. This was our target between these two right here. And we did get that low come in right there at about 33 and change, or right at 33, I suppose. There's a weekly right below that was never tapped. And now that we live back below this box, these become, relevant again. So just got to keep our eyes on, how the price reacts at these levels. Once again, we'll be looking at order flow and open interest as well. Very helpful tool there. As you can see, we broke through this level, came down, hit the golden pocket last night, rallied up, got a bearish retest from this area that you really want to see regained, and we dropped down lower. So to me, this is a really decent area to consider. If you're looking to scale into this market, if you're looking to get in the alts, while yes, we could go lower, right? That's always the risk. This is also an area where you may see a turnaround, and whether that be just from here to back to the point of control up here at 42K, if we run it back to the range high before we actually come down and finish out this move, it's still going to offer some really decent entry. It's very similar to over here, right, when we had 33K and we had this nice little move up here for a couple of weeks. Entering any of the altcoins at this point, that was about an 80% rally out of a lot of alts, right? VeChain, everything almost was about, at least 50%, 50 to 80%. Obviously, they were down a ton, so it depends on how your strategy is and what you have going on. But this is, it's definitely an area to pay attention, right? You should really be, realizing that we're in a pivotal moment here for BTC, and to see some possible reckoning. But that's only going to be on the table once we break this range low. So we're also coming into major support, which we could see is very well turn around at any moment here. So to the downside, once again, simple. You got these targets coming in here. These might be a little aggressive, but it's to the point where if you lose this range low, anticipate seeing these again. There is one weekly NPOC a little bit. I think it's right between here. So let me kind of close these down. And this is more so like where we are now. So we got the range low, like I said, right here. We got our golden pocket. I think there's a weekly NPOC right in between, maybe a couple $100 from where we are right now. And it's right there. Yep. So that comes in at about 37K. About $300 from where we've already come down to. Once again, to me, these are areas of interest here. These are possibly some really great entries, depending on how you structure your strategy. So something for you to consider if we get down. We're already there. So think about how long we lived down here at 30K. Yeah, what was it? It's 33K. We were down at 33K for, give or take, 34. We were about down there for about 8 to 10 hours, right? Many people kind of just we're looking for lower, looking for lower. You're always going to be looking for lower. So, take that for what it's worth. Can we go lower? Absolutely. Nothing really indicating we're going to turn around quite yet, but that can happen very quickly. And you're at levels of, major support. This was our big cluster of area that we were looking for this entire time, right? Because we had what we have down here: monthly open, golden pocket. We had a weekly NPOC, and we had the range lows all stacked here. This is a lot of support coming in right here. All right, so don't overlook that in the sense of just because there are some lower targets, and those targets really only become super relevant once we start losing this range low. All of this can be met and still be a higher low in the grand scheme of this possible uptrend here, and then we still run it back up towards that 47K yearly key level and things of that nature. So welcome in, everybody. See, we got a little pump here out of the algorithm. So good morning, happy Monday. For anybody just joining in, like I said, I've been going over this whole schematic here for probably the last 3 or 4 weeks here, ever since we dropped down basically towards this level here. We've been also going over this in between the Discord and just through TikTok videos from the 52K high over here. And what we've been just recently going through is this current range that we've been in. So we've got a current range low at about 36,600. Our range high comes in about 45K, give or take. We got a major volume target right here, about 42K, our point of control. And then we've got some big levels that we've been watching, right? So we essentially ran it to the range high the other day on the 10th, so just about 2 weeks ago now. Came back down, put in a lower high, indicating that we were probably going to see some lower price action. At the time, we had a CME futures gap and a weekly pivot that was untapped right here. Not too much support at the time. And basically kind of cut right through it. But right below that was our 2-year key level at about $39,800, which that still remains. Lost that, basically dropped down to the golden pocket. And this area has been a major area of opportunity that we've been waiting for. All right, reason being is that this was our monthly open, our golden pocket, a weekly NPOC, which is still untapped. So this is still a major target. With us being this far away, or not that far away, I would anticipate this is going to be met. And that's only about $300-$400 from where the price action is right this second. And then we've got our range lows coming in about $36,500. One thing to consider to start regaining momentum to the upside is we don't want to be living below this monthly open for too long. I would imagine if we come down, tag this WNPOC, maybe even the range low, we'd really want to see that turn around and regain this monthly open at about 38,200. Coming all the way down here as well. Once again, all we'd be really putting in, as long as we don't close lower than this 36.2 area, all you'd be putting in is a higher low into this possible uptrend here. Obviously, we got a lot of headway above us, but that's what we'd be looking for in the short term here in this area. Can we go lower? Obviously, always. We do have the doomsday targets here that we've been messing around with since about Christmas Eve as well. Once again, this area was when we were down here beforehand, we were looking for this area to get regained to consider the upside momentum. Basically fell straight back through it. We actually got a bearish retest off this area last night, and down we go, right? So at the moment, these levels down here, this is not an NPOC anymore. I need to change this, but this was our target that we were looking at back at 52K, this area, these two. We left the weekly right here, didn't fill that out, so this is a big possibility, but only if we lose this range low. If we start losing this low, we can anticipate seeing this for sure, right? So right now, basically the focus would be right here. To me, there's so much stacked right here. I always look for like double stack, triple stack support resistances, right, with some big Y behind it, not just because whatever. Like I said, this area, this $36,000 to $38,000 range has been our area of interest for the last few weeks here, as this was and is monthly open, golden pocket, weekly NPOC, and the range lows all coming in right here. So these are support, and we're just about almost to that level. So if you're looking to get involved, obviously you want to get involved in things around the range lows or the range high. If you're going to be going leverage or anything like that, or even just in general, you probably want to put some stop losses in place. Or if you're looking at DCA, right, these are definitely the areas you want to be looking into. Can we go lower? For sure, but this is also the areas where we can definitely turn around as well. We haven't gotten anything that indicates that quite yet, But like I said, we still are about $500 to $1,000 away from the range low coming in here. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. As far as upside continuation at this point, we want to see this monthly open regained, which is about 38,200. Like I said, quite possible that we see, this WNPOC, maybe that range low taken out, and then we come back up and hit this monthly open here and start attacking these upside targets once again. This box is still pretty much what we want to see. I mean, this is pretty much what you really want to see regained here until we break back into this above this 2-year key level that we have marked out about 39,800. You're going to be, pretty much this whole bottom area here is our playground at the moment. So that is really where we want to see the most action come back in above there. So I have on here that we had a weekly pivot in the CME futures gap. I'm going to take that off. That was just kind of that was last week, right? We had the weekly pivot. I bring that up because the weekly pivots tend to get struck, right? At the time, pretty much all throughout the week until about Friday, that was an untapped weekly pivot there, and it was the CME futures gap as well. We knocked down this doomsday box here. But now for this week, brand new week here, the weekly pivot basically comes in right around that same area. As you can see, it's untapped at the moment. So at some point throughout this week, I would imagine that we do come back up and retest this, assuming that, this is, starting to be held, that would give us some upward momentum for sure, right? So that would be, our monthly open would be regained by then. You'd have your 2-year level being somewhat regained. You'll have to see some closure above, and then you take out that weekly pivot, and then you're looking back up to this point of control. So 42K comes in as our current range point of control, major volume target area. After that, we've got the range highs at about 45K. And then looking up from there, at this point, that's a long road ahead at the moment. But as we all know, right, this was over the course of what? These moves come. Unfortunately, they come both ways, right? Let me see what time frame this was. I mean, I could just do the math, I guess, but this was from the 4th to, so in 4 days, we rallied from the range low all the way to the range high previously, and the same deal here, right? Probably took about 4 days, give or take, let's say, from the exact range high. So it was 10 days from the time we were really poking our heads through there. From the day we actually got rejected, it was about 5. So 4-day run up, 5-day run down. Note that we spent how long up here before that run down? About a week, right? So very possible to maybe do the same thing through here, right? We kind of dance around through here, kind of nail this weekly pivot this week, take out these lows, kind of range in between here, and then over the next few days we kind of take it back through. So just kind of have to pay attention to see how the price action reacts. Right now, the biggest thing is to watch this range low, this weekly NPOC. Monthly open is already lost, so that's something. We see that regain. That's something of note to the upside. But you lose that range low, and then we're looking back down towards those 2 NPOCs from our doomsday levels, right? And this is you don't have to look at that one specifically, I suppose. This is still a point of control from a monthly back here. This is a weekly that's untapped though, so this is a very real target that comes into play. And if this is met, right? This would jack everybody up, because this would actually put in a lower low right here, right? And then in the grand scheme of things, I'm sure everybody would like absolutely melt, thinking that we were just going to go straight to 20K or whatever the case may be, when in reality you just be coming down here, sweeping the lows, taking out a major volume target that's untapped, and you could see that wrap around. Not worth getting worked up about that though until you really start losing this range low about $36,600. Okay, you start putting in that lower low over here, dropping below this 36.2, then yeah, we probably are going to see these levels once again. So with that being said, this is still where we could turn around as well. Like I said, we got a ton of big support right here, just kind of putting it out, so after this live stream, if you are watching and we do drop below here, you do know what to kind of whatever you do, you of course, and not financial advice. This is what I'm looking for, but in the short term there, that's what I'd be looking for, is look for these levels right here, lose that range low. Yeah, we're probably heading down there. Hold this, turn around, hold this monthly open. Well, then we look to attack this 2-year key level right up here, about 39K. Bust through this again. We got our point of control, and realistically, until we're living heavily above 42, then we still got a lot of headway to move. So got really big areas of resistance right above us right here at these two, but you overtake those and it'll be in good shape. And do note that we basically shot straight through half of them over the course of a day in the beginning of this month here. As far as continuation to the upside, you want to break that range high about 45K. After that, if you've been watching these live streams, like I said, we got a plethora of targets to the upside. You got a yearly key level coming in right at 47K. After we break through this $45,000 range, we basically re-enter into this range right here, right, from December. Got a point of control basically coming in at like 49K. You've got a yearly key level coming in at 47K. I think there's an NPOC right here. So you got a ton of upward levels here to watch, and that's just in the immediate short term as soon as you break out of that 45K range high. But until then, this is Bitcoin, right? So living back under this level to regain box is not the best thing to see as far as pushing above right now, but it can be overtaken, right? So at the end of the day, we are really just ranging heavily in this range that we've been in since this is from the 5th, basically since the 1st of January, right? So you got, like I said, range low, range high, and you can see how we've just been basically respecting it ever since we fell into it. Dropped out of this range over here, boom, came in, took out the low, right? We had a little deviation here. We re-entered the range, ran it back to the range high, and we're probably on our way to run it back to the range low at the moment. From there, essentially, right, you could have a little deviation below here. That's not what you want to see, especially if we're going to start closing down there. But essentially, you'd be looking for this range low to hold, and we'd, assume we're going to run it back to the range high. Take some time, right? This isn't going to be just overnight. Once again, this entire time we've been going through this has been, a 5-day run up to the upside. We consolidated up here for a week, and then we ran it down for 5 days. Today is a holiday, right? We got President's Day on the board, so the markets are a little here or there. I didn't think that the CME futures market would be open today, but apparently it is. Assume that they would reopen tomorrow, but they did reopen last night right here, right? So got a very small gap, which is actually above us for once, but it's very small at this point, right? You're talking like maybe $100. I think it's 39.4, yeah, like maybe $100 right there as far as the CME futures gap goes. But once again, is up to the upside from here. That area pretty much puts you at that 2-year key level as well. So if we were to start regaining those levels, that's where we'd be around. This weekly pivot up here is a big area to kind of pay attention for throughout the week. And that's at about 40,300. And then we got the point of control up here. So take a look at ETH in regards to how it's reacting here with BTC, because it's going to give you a good indication of the altcoins as well. And once again, just want to be really clear here before we move over. This is the area we've been waiting for, right? So don't only assume doom and gloom down to the downside. This could very well be a very, very big area of opportunity for you or for anybody, right? And that goes in two ways: whether you're able to actually enter the market, with some fresh powder at this point, or if you're considering trying to sell out and buy back lower or something of that nature, right? So a lot of times people pull that trigger, it's a tough one to pull when you're down these lows, and when you're coming into major support like this as well. That's definitely probably not the area you want to be selling out at. So very, very similar to how when we came down to 33K, I mean, people were looking for a 25 and whatever the case may be, and you see how we had a 50% run up after that basically. So this is a very big area we've been waiting for. Whether or not we drop another couple $100, you get down to this range low, we see how this is reacting at that time. And if we take off from here, then that's something we'll be paying attention for. If you do start losing that, then yeah, we're gonna have to have a different conversation here. But until then, this is a really, really big area of opportunity here. I know most of you are already in our Discord here. Magic Internet Money and I, if you haven't followed him on TikTok, Twitter, anything like that, do yourself a favor. Great analyst, amazing trader. The two of us actually created the leading crypto Discord server here. It's got almost 1,000 members in here. We do go over, all of these things that he covers Bitcoin a lot more in depth than even I do. I tend to cover mostly altcoins. In here between the two of us, right? You get your altcoin setups and things of that nature. You got your, BTC updates from Magic. We actually have live recordings that we put in here of all of our exclusive members only market updates. So last night, Sundays and Wednesday nights, we do members only exclusive live streams. One of which was the Christmas Eve. I mean, every time we have a really nice live stream put together for everybody. And like I said, from Wednesday night, we basically walked everybody into this $38,000 golden pocket into Sunday last night. All those for anybody that's in the group. If you haven't been able to see those, like I said, if you if you find nothing else in this group, you could watch those 2 live streams every week, and you'd be basically ahead of 90% of the curve. So those are all right here in the live recordings. We've also got the Academy, where there's about 20 videos and counting we're adding daily. This is educational content that teaches you everything you'll need to know about, reading charts, creating charts. If you want to look into trade, if you know nothing about any of that, you can come in here and basically get step-by-step tutorials. Very, very high-end quality right there. We've got Bitcoin charts only with about 20. I mean, there's anybody has access to this, but we have about 20 to 30 really, really active, great traders around the world, constantly posting in here. Magic posts a lot of his charts in here as well. So it's very, if the 2 of us for some reason aren't around, you have people from all over the world constantly posting in there. And we've got Burr Max, which is actually our order flow specialist. He's over in Dubai, and we're introducing order flow to everybody in the next few days here, which, like I said, order flow and open interest is a major, major tool and resource that is going to be able to help you really indicate some of these moves when they come, right? So you're not going to have that really anywhere else. So that's a definite big proportion to our group here. We also have an area of books, right? So Magic put in basically all of his books, or at least a good amount here. Probably about 20 books here on trading, charting, harmonics, patterns, whatever you want. This book store, so to speak, alone, which you get this included with your membership. This is probably worth the membership for a year in its own self. So for anybody that does like to come in and actually read and learn in that fashion, those are all available for you there as well. And we were using Patreon, and that was kind of a hassle. And if you joined any day besides the first, you would kind of get charged, and then you get charged again on the first. But we just changed that billing system. So now if anybody is interested in joining, we do have a free portion as well. But if you want to join the membership, there is the ability to join today, and your membership will be billed just monthly. So if you start today, you'll get billed today. You'll get billed every 21st or every 20th, whatever the day is going forward. You won't get charged again on the first, and you can cancel anytime. So if anybody's interested in that, that's my little pitch there. Otherwise, we'll get back to it. And all right, take a look at ETH real quick. So ETH and BTC, they always are interesting, because they just move so similarly. Same deal, right? We've got ETH's range low coming in right here. We've got our range high coming in here, right? And the same structure almost. The only difference between Bitcoin and ETH was that ETH never made a higher high at all so far, right? Bitcoin actually made a higher high around that 45K from its previous, December, not December, it must have been earlier January, but we did come in and make a higher high out of BTC, at least on the lower time frames. For ETH, we did not. So everybody was really getting excited about this inverse head and shoulders that kind of popped up across the board for many. At least Bitcoin and ETH, there was actually a lot of regular head and shoulders popping up on the other alts, and we'll go through that here in a second. And this is one of the big things here, right? Is that could this have broken out and played out? Yeah, they happen all the time, right? Obviously, this would have a target of about $5,500, $6K, whatever it was, out of ETH. This would have had a really nice play out of here for ETH, but the thing is that you want to have that plan in place so that if it doesn't break out, right? So while everybody's looking at this inverse head and shoulders only, you're probably prematurely buying, here, expecting this to break out. Realistically on these patterns, you want to see a breakout and a retest of that neckline, and that's your confirmation. And in that sense, unless you're already just holding, you'd miss out on this 12% move, right? But what happens is that that's the risk, right? Your risk management on that aspect, because with jumping into that too early, look at the downfall now that most people had to eat. 20% to the downside. If on a trader scale here, if anybody was jumping into this on a trade basis, so they didn't miss that 12% possible rally, or at the time, even if you entered middle here, this was still only about 6 or 8%. That greed catches up with people, and they can't wait. They can't be patient to see if that's going to break out or not, right? And it's exactly what we got. So then behind that, then it's just, manipulation, this and this and that. And then at the end of the day, realistically, we were just in the same range that we'd been in, and same deal, came up, got rejection at the range high. Well, where are we going? Going back to that point of control, most likely, which unfortunately for ETH is actually down here at about 2,400. It doesn't have to get there, but at this rate, we might. And then from that point of control, you're looking down to your range lows, hold the range lows, and then you're looking back to revisit that range high again, right? So in the middle here is quite a bunch of steps. We had these two major key levels up here too, which losing those are not the best sight for short-term sore eyes, but that's okay, right? We lost those though. We got our new weekly pivot right here. I just want to put that out there, right? It's about $2,800. So I would imagine we'd probably strike that at some point this week, which is only about $150 from now. So it just depends on how that plays out. And then monthly open, right? We lose that monthly open, and that's not a good sign for anybody. So losing that monthly open here, we lost it on Bitcoin. I'm assuming we probably lost the monthly open across the board. So that's our number one mission, is get back above that monthly open. Right now it's not far away. But the problem that comes into play for these ranges is that we basically just lost support, right? So our next major support, you could consider it right here at this 2 week at about 25.50, but realistically it's the point of control right here. And that's about $2,400. Not a major move from where we are, right? But once again, anybody that was holding out for this inverse head and shoulders, that's going to be a 25% drop. So that's not a great time for anybody in that aspect. So, but realistically, that's, we can definitely merge these patterns in with these ranges as well. And, do note that had this played out, right, you got that breakout, and say this was retesting, this is where everybody else would be looking, is this inverse head and shoulders, so to speak. Well, you'd also be basically breaking out and holding a retest on your range high, right? So that would be some pretty good confluence that you may be, continuing to the upside here. And then essentially from there, like I said, we've gone over this chart a ton of times too last week, is that there's really not anything above this range high, this yearly open. And same deal, like just kind of how we were looking for Bitcoin, all that stacked support down at where we are now with the golden pocket, with the monthly open, with the NPOC, this and that. It's similar up here for ETH around this region, around $150. I guess it's $300. Give or take. So you got this level coming in here, but once again, you got to break through this range high before you can start anticipating that. So for now, we're looking for probably some bounces here. Really want to regain this monthly open. You got two major key levels up here too, right, that are going to act as some support, resistance along the way. And if Bitcoin keeps dropping, market keeps pulling back, I'd anticipate looking to see this point of control and possibly this range low. Come down to this range low, it's going to be a pretty big double bottom out of ETH, right? May not get those levels. That's the thing, is that we're in an area here where you may want to consider dipping your toes in, or however you want to consider it, right? Because we may not get all the way down to here, and at that point from where we are now, that's still a really big drop. Once again, that's going to imply, like, seeing a 17% move out of ETH at this point. You're looking at another 10% out of Bitcoin. So, you're talking about dropping us, at that point, the whole market's going to be pretty much in trouble anyway. So, with the idea, whatever works best for you, right? Like for Bitcoin, you got to pay attention to Bitcoin, right? Unfortunately, that's our major player. But understanding what Bitcoin, could do is very important to how your altcoins are going to react. And to me, just want to point it out once again, is that we are in we've been waiting for this area. So what happens a lot of times is, this was our plan, right? This is our plan. We lose these areas, we're looking for this one right here. And, we were patient, we got it. We haven't even actually gotten all the way to the bottom. Are we getting a little pump here? We sure are. So just like I was saying here, right? So, you don't want to exactly be waiting for every low level, right? We were in literally the golden pocket there for about 8 hours. Are we just getting a little relief bounce? Could be, right? So you don't know that yet. But right now, we're pumping back above this monthly open. You start closing above here, well, we're probably going to be looking back up for a bit. And this is why when we come down to these levels, this is a really good example live right now, right? Earlier in the stream, how many times did I say, don't Don't feel like you have to wait only for, the possible lower. Every time we get to a level, everybody's going to keep looking lower, because you have to anticipate that this could not play out. But this was our target for the whole time, right? With all this supported, all this stack support, monthly open, golden pocket, weekly point of control, and the range low. This is like the holy grail of support right here at the moment. So for anybody that just went in here, obviously even in a short term, you're in good shape at the moment. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously we're getting some decent reactions here, but this is also just like a 5-second move at the time. But we'll see how things move over. What I was bringing this up was looking at ETH. Same thing. You don't want to be just like super paranoid and petrified of ETH dropping to that low, whatever it was, $2,000, or the range low, so to speak, on ETH, because that would you'd really need to see Bitcoin falling all the way through here. Could it happen? Yes. But the term the money is made in the middle, is a really big reality, right? So let's just put that in a perfect example. If this is where we turn around short term here, how many people would have maybe missed this because they're waiting on whatever levels below? I'm sure most people aren't looking for these. Most are probably looking for whatever, maybe the previous low, or I don't know, some number that they have that they created for themselves. And I'm not saying this is the bottom by any means. I'm just giving an example that this is where coming into making a plan is very important, right? So maybe you didn't want to take a leverage position here or anything, but this was an area, and still is. We're not really out of it completely. This is an area where you could be getting involved, and it may play out really well. Could we still go lower? For sure. But this compared to here is obviously a really decent area of opportunity, and obviously that compared to that is possibly a better move there too. So it depends on how your strategy comes into play, of course. All right, and went through ETH. What time is it? It's almost 9:30. Got to finish up here. I do want to show that, while we were looking at a lot of these too, is that there was quite a few altcoins that were showing inverse head and shoulders like crazy, right? DOT was one, right? So DOT and Link, two of our main, large caps. While ETH and Bitcoin are printing like these huge inverse head and shoulders, the other altcoins are putting in some pretty clear traditional head and shoulders here. What I wanted to point out though is that once again, just as that inverse head and shoulders didn't really play out all the way, anybody looking for this is going to be looking for a target of DOT all the way back down to like $13, which is very possible, right? Once again, you see my big buy zone down here. This is kind of not a worst case scenario by any means, but this is if Bitcoin drops substantially, DOT's probably going to drop to this range. So that's where we'd be kind of paying attention for. But what I also want to point out is that we're coming into the range lows, right? This is our developing quarterly right here. And that's also somewhere to be paying attention for, right? You got a possible, double bottom that could be, marked out of here. But this is a really big level of support coming in. Right now, we're not even, we haven't tapped it quite yet. But yeah, this is something that, for anybody looking to short or thinking that we're going to go lower on DOT, we could just see this move right here, right? And it's about 8 or 10%, which is obviously, it's a decent move here to the downside, and it could go lower, don't get me wrong. But coming into these range lows is something to kind of consider, right? So we kind of put all this in the context of, you got the head and shoulders pattern to the downside. Granted, that would really put in, like a 30% move, which is possible. But once again, you're looking at, you have to consider when you see any of these larger caps putting out patterns like that you gotta imagine Bitcoin's going down too, right? So you don't just see DOT, Ethereum, you don't see these large caps just dropping 30% and Bitcoin staying stable, at least for the most part. So kind of paying attention where Bitcoin is, where Bitcoin's major supports are, is a little important there as far as, once again, creating context. So anybody looking at this is looking for, I'm going to wait till we get down to $13 at a DOT. Well, realistically, we could come down, just kind of tap this range low at 16, and we turn around right here. So just kind of want to bring that idea up, right? And Chainlink looks the exact same way. I'm sure the majority of large caps all they kind of all ebb and flow in the same fashion and that way, right? So as you can see, pretty clear head and shoulders there too. But where are we really coming down to? Your range low right here. So Monthly open, same thing for these altcoins as well. We want to see this monthly open regained for that upside. That would also be putting in like at least short term here a higher high out here. We're coming right into these range lows at the moment. We're getting that little pump with Bitcoin. But yeah, this is where I'd be paying attention to. Once again, that money's made in the middle, right? And having this plan in place where even if you were to enter here and we do drop to $11, at this point, that's not much a difference out of a chain link from 13, right? If you get this range low by chance, $13, $14 down to 11. But if we were going to run this head and shoulders target, right, that puts you right down here at a major key level of support as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just, could it go lower? For sure. That's about $2. So, I mean, that is, probably about 10, 15, 20%, whatever it is. But, yeah, about 20%. Once again, anticipating that 20% move means Bitcoin's probably coming down quite substantially as well. And that's something that you can, once again, just kind of plan on. Once you start like putting these plans in play, right? If we know Bitcoin, or if we can assume Bitcoin's going to lose major support and head lower, well, then I'm just going to look towards my other altcoins and say, all right, well, I'm going to look for, Chainlink around that, major key level support, around that $11, around that $13. And just don't get greedy, always looking for the next lowest point, right? That's just one thing to bring up there. I think that's about the update here. Like I said, I'm going to continue to kind of go through these here about, I think I'm going to start this week going 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Did seem to be a pretty good turnout here. For anybody that is interested, like I said, last night, Wednesdays and Sundays, Leading Crypto Discord, link is in my bio. Magic Internet Money, another analyst, and I, we started this together. You get altcoin updates from me pretty heavily. You get Bitcoin updates like crazy from him. We put our live recordings, our academy in here. We've got just a ton of content flowing through this Discord. Live recordings are probably, worth their weight in gold. I say it all the time. If you do anything in this group, you could just watch the 2 weekly exclusive live streams. One was last night. The previous one was Wednesday. We do it every Wednesday and Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And essentially, we've outlined the entire move down from 52K to 33K, from that to back to 45, from 45 down to the current $38,000 over the last few weeks. Last night, we actually did a really nice new update. So for anybody that did not see that in the group, especially, go into live recordings, and it's the 220 exclusive members update. Give that a check. We've also got an academy here, right? So if you know nothing about how we're putting together these ranges, these charts, looking at any of this stuff, this step-by-step how-to on all of this, get you caught up and up to speed pretty quickly there on your own time as well, included with everybody's membership. We've got Bitcoin charts only, where members can actually post their charts. So for some reason, if Magic or myself are not around, you'll have somebody somewhere posting charts, and kind of, everybody's kind of doing the same strategy here. So it's really easy to kind of pick up where people are putting down as you're going through here. We got also the big deal here is going to be coming in is the order flow. So we have an order flow specialist, lives over in Dubai. His name is Max, and he's basically presenting an order flow, teaching, so to speak. Starting in about 4 days, we'll be unloading that into the group, and that's a pretty big deal for anybody. If you're not going to really be learning that anywhere else, and good luck finding that on the web as well. So a lot of value in here. Even like I said, Magic also put anybody that's interested in like reading books and learning about all these things, harmonics, right? You got all the patterns areas here, how some of these things work, volume profile, market, order flow, straight book. Even on here you'll actually get a book on it too. All these are pretty much worth probably the year subscription here. So we do have a free portion as well. It's not all just a paid group, but we do put in a lot of time and effort into this. So if anybody's interested, like I said, the free group is in the bio, and then you can upgrade to a membership if you like. If you do upgrade, you'll start your billing the day you start, and then it'll be every day, every month after. So if you join the 20th, you get billed every 20th. We switched out of Patreon, so you don't have to worry about getting double charged, so to speak. So any questions like that, you can always DM me or anything like that. That's my pitch. I'm sticking to it. Hope you all had a great day, great afternoon, great morning. I would look forward to seeing you again soon. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. Till next time, everybody. Have a great day. Cheers.